Hey guys, good morning. This is Sistah Hale here. Welcome to my talk segment, Smoking Intentions with Sistah Hale. So I'm super excited, everyone who hops on today or will catch this later. Thank you for joining. So I'm really excited to talk about CBD specifically, and as well as discussing the difference between CBD hemp and CBD derived from cannabis. So typically, most of us are well aware of what CBD is, but for those who are unfamiliar, just one second, sorry. So for those of us who are unfamiliar with CBD, CBD is short for cannabidiol. Cannabidiol is a cannabis-derived chemical compound found in its pretty much biostructure. So as we know, CBD has non-psychoactive effects. So for people who are really not trying to get high, this is going to be very beneficial because not only does it help with such a wide spectrum of illnesses, is typically why most of us use it, but it's been said to be a great just overall supplement. We kind of have to change our perspective, like, oh, I only need CBD when I'm like, I have cancer or or some other sickness, but if you're an overall pretty healthy person, you eat well, you are active, this is just a general preventative, because you never know, we're susceptible to our environment, we are susceptible to our family history and health. So those are kind of key things we have to think about, especially when you go through your nutrition, and those are key things, they ask you is, hey, well, what's your family history? Or even when you go to the doctor and something pops up, what's your family history? So on that note, it's just being mindful and using what we have that is beneficial for our body. Because remember, as I discussed in January, we developed a pretty foundation understanding about the endocannabinoid system. How do all of these compounds thread through us and get connected, or how it's all connected together, excuse me. So when we look at cannabidiol, or CBD, what conditions are we looking at that are going to be super beneficial? I mean, like I mentioned before, hey, Miss Queen Yanitz, how you doing this morning, hun? So what we're looking at with CBD is it's on a spectrum. It's benefiting all these variety of illnesses. And so here are these researchers, posing the question is how and why? How is this one single compound found in this plant helping all of these conditions? So that's when we have to peel back the layers and look at the body structure and see and really visualize is that, oh, hey, there are all these receptor cells. So remember, we talked about our CB1 and CB2 receptor cells in January as well. The thread of this body. So we find CB1 very active, and CB2 very active in the body. Specifically, now there's some new research saying, oh, there's a particular potential CB3, so another receptor that it could also be adding to the mix. So we don't know right now for sure, but the whole thing is that we're on that path of understanding, true understanding of how this particular plant works in all its variety. So with cannabidiol being a non-psychoactive compound, it's very attractive for some people who aren't trying to necessarily get the high, as I mentioned earlier. So as we're looking at CBD as a chemical compound, one thing that we look at is CBD is CBD. Doesn't matter if it starts in a hemp form or cannabis itself. Once you isolate and break down that compound, it's CBD. So there's a couple ways it is sourced through, either it's made in a lab. So there's a variety of ways to make CBD. We can isolate it naturally, by using hemp CBD or by using CBD-based dominant cannabis plants. Or it can also be synthesized in a lab. So these are a couple of things that we look at, just because, of course, researchers, synthesists, they want to be able to understand this as well, and seeing how can we, create this particular compound in the laboratory. So when we look at this, at the end result, it's 100% CBD. So it doesn't matter the source in this particular case. But what does matter is the source variety itself. So what about CBD oil? Well, so as I mentioned, we have hemp-derived CBD, and we also have CBD oil that's derived from cannabis. And so what makes the hemp derived and the cannabis sativa derived CBD different is based on the contaminants, and I say that loosely, because, well, in some regards, if we're looking at the hemp-based plant, and most of these hemp plants are being grown for industrial use, and so they're being grown on properties with soil that's been completely damaged from other previous crops. Because remember, hemp grows and pulls up all these contaminants that are in the soil, because what a lot of people don't know that hemp actually does, that's really amazing, is that hemp has the ability to actually purify our environment in many ways, but in one particular way is the oxygen, the air that we breathe. And as we depend on trees to help clean our air, it's been shown through research that hemp has the ability to recycle our CO2 4 to 5 times more than trees can. So that's fucking amazing. So what that means is, if we're in a high in an area that's super toxic, so I'm going to use an area I used to live in, Kern County specifically. That is armpit of California. That's the reality. And so when all of these toxins are coming in from LA, and then we have in the valley their own toxins, so we're talking about the oil rig companies, the fracking, all of that loose oil leading into the underground water system. This has already been tested and proven. However, none of these companies want to talk about what they're using. So like, ExxonMobil and all these different other companies, oil companies. And then we have an issue here when it comes to growing our food and living in this toxic environment when you have cow ranches as well. So there's a huge percentage of methane gas that's being produced daily, because apparently there's pretty much there's like 5 cows for every 1 person in Kern County. That's fucking nuts. You guys, that there's more cows than people? That's not right. So, and my whole point of bringing that up is that whole conscious awareness of, where things are coming from, and how something as simple as hemp could make a huge benefit for a community like Kern County. That if there's that much amount of toxins being produced in the environment, why not start a hemp farm? Oh my gosh, I was on the soapbox for so many years at CACB. So people know me as the marijuana girl over there. But it's true. The whole point of that is that why not use specific plants that can benefit our environment? But anyways, getting off that soapbox for now. So when we're looking at CBD oil versus CBD oil derived from hemp and CBD oil derived from cannabis, we're also looking at other plant material compounds that are also extracted in the process. So, and that's the key thing to the process, is the extraction. So what is the final form? So this is a determination of the basically what gets produced and brought out of the material. Hey everyone who hopped on, Ganja Chica, Rod, I see you, brother. And okay, so the final product in the oil. So as we mentioned, hemp-derived CBD and cannabis-derived CBD are two different processes, specifically because what hemp as a CBD producer has to provide. So most oftentimes when we see hemp oil, it's usually at the grocery store. And so when we're talking about final form, that is one variation. So specifically what the common form of a hemp oil is that they're pressing the oil out of the hemp seeds, which generally have like 3 to 5% THC, CBD. It yields about that much percentage typically. So it's really not that high in regards to something more of a medicinal based grade when we're talking about a cannabis based oil versus a hemp stock oil or hemp seed oil. But when we're looking at companies such as, I'd like to shout out my friend Carly. She has an amazing CBD hemp company, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. It's Quartz Trading Co. So if you actually like hemp derived products, go check her product line out at Quartz Trading Co. on Instagram. But anyways, so she's going to be my example to this next segment part here is, you know, when we're looking at different types of oil. So I have two companies in mind when I think about this, the final product and its effects, is we have Papa and Barkley. Amazing company in the cannabis industry here in California. They produce tinctures, body oils, and topicals. And they have, you know, what's unique about the product line is they have ratios. So they have a 3-to-1 CBD dominant, and they have a 3-to-1 THC dominant. They also have a 30-to-1 tincture, or I think now it's called their CBD rich tincture. So the point being with that is there are specific people who don't need any THC, and that is okay. And so they might be a little bit more sensitive. So that is where having a CBD only, a CBD rich oil is going to come into play. So, and that's where the isolation process happens. So with my homegirl Carly and with Quartz Trading Co., she has been able and has been working with this farm out of Colorado for some time that has been producing a CBD isolate from hemp. And it is almost about, she said one of the last test results she got was almost 100%. Like over, it was like 101%. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So the whole point is, as I'll get into in a little bit, is that there really isn't a strong, you know, CBD content when it comes to hemp from the actual seeds, but that's not including the flower and the stalk itself that gets processed. So when I mentioned and opened up with synthesizing, you know, as two ways to make CBD, we have isolation from its natural resource and the synthesization in the lab. So what's been able to be taken and derived from this CBD hemp, from the flower and the stalk, is we are getting a little bit of higher traces, like I mentioned, you know, from the crop itself, it's about a little over 5%. But when you have companies who are working on, basically the threshold is less than, 0.3%. THC is what can be, that's the legal limit that to be considered a hemp-based product. So that's what a lot of breeders have been focusing on, is producing a high yielding CBD hemp-based genetics. Because remember, the beginning, hemp was specifically focused on nutritional and industrial use. So nutritional being that hemp seeds have high omegas, where specifically omega-3s and omega-6s. We also have, it's industrial use. Sorry, I'm getting over congestion. It's industrial use. So back in the day, we used to have our hemp farms all over the East Coast. And actually back in the 1600s in the colony of Virginia, if you had land and were not growing hemp, they'd fucking put your ass in jail or make you could actually pay your taxes in hemp. It was amazing. The environment that those colonizers created back then. Moving forward, we have this. What affects all of this is our laws. That's the reality of how things move and groove in our society. So, hit up your local law, you guys, if you want to create some change. Because this affects the extractment process. They're very hounding on these farmers, especially if they're not going about it the right way in production. So there's just a wide variety of things that kind of go into play here. And as I mentioned, the positive effects of even consuming hemp-based CBD, even from the seeds, we have a high concentration of vitamin E. It acts as an antioxidant, and it actually is a bacteria inhibitor, and as well as virus. And it ensures growing environment. So that's the whole thing, ensuring the growing environment which you get your hemp from. We want to make sure that that particular hemp has been grown in an organic and toxic-free space. And that's the big key thing is you want to look out for, especially when you are picking up hemp CBD based products. Read your labels just a little bit more and research the companies. We have to be a little bit proactive in that level, especially when we are working with different plant medicines. And that's the whole thing, is being mindful when we go into this. So, tying this up together is, yes, when we are looking at the benefits of hemp versus CBD, yes, we are going to have a lot more variety when it comes to using a cannabis-derived CBD. We are going to, as far as effect and potency, but it does not take away what hemp is here for and the benefits of still using it. If you're in a state where unfortunately your laws are saying, hey, we don't recognize cannabis yet, but we'll try CBD, the whole thing, as I mentioned before, is even using CBD hemp as a daily supplement. Even if you're using Quartz Trading Co. products, as I mentioned before, it is 100% pure CBD hemp and isolate. And it looks almost like Coke, I'm not gonna lie. But if you think about it, anything in its isolated form, it's gonna be some form of a powdery substance. So what people do with that is they mix it with a carrier oil. So you can put it in jojoba oil, you can put it in MCT oil or coconut oil in its solid form. There's so many uses for it, so it's not like it's not beneficial, because it is. Because what did I mention before? It doesn't matter where the actual CBD isolation came from, whether it was from hemp or if it was from cannabis and everything was stripped out. No entourage effect here, mama. It is specifically just that one isolated material. Because if CBD is CBD at the end of the day, what is it helping? Depression, diabetes, fibromyalgia, migraine, bipolar, autism, stress, spinal cord injury. Candy, my girl, got you. And these are such important things because the knowledge is out there, the knowledge is there, but what's important is, bringing this all together, because as Dr. Ethan Russo, who really proposed this idea of the entourage effect, is that his idea was that both cannabinoids function in a synergistic way to give a pharmacological properties to our natural healing. So that's the whole point, is whether we're in a state where we're stuck and we can only use CBD based products, use it while you have it. But when the moment comes and you can use a little bit of that full spectrum, that CBD THC combination, or vice versa, it creates a unique effect in the body. As I tell my patients that I work with, sometimes I say, hey, what's a cool thing you can do is you can buy a CBD flower and you can get your favorite THC strain and have a 50-50 blend. Like, it's so cool to be able to use cannabis in a variety of ways. So, and this is a perfect intro into talking about our 2 chakra strains that help with the whole stimulation and process of working through our solar plexus. So, kind of remind us where we're at with that. So our solar plexus is known to be stimulated by heavy hybrids. So a nice psychoactive, creative, calming, and sedative effect. So as I mentioned before, if you're someone who has insomnia, has chronic pain, too much thoughts in the head and you need something to calm you down, relax the mind, don't we have the strains? And also something that's going to help with, like, if you're depressed, if you have some gastro issues, it will help stimulate your appetite. So these are all awesome things. Hey mama, I see you. Thank you for hopping on. So as I mentioned, when we're trying to figure out what are going to be the best strains to work with our solar plexus energy, remember our solar plexus, this is going to be our diaphragm area here. So this is the house of our solar plexus energy. And so when we think about, as I mentioned, what is stimulating or what it can help with, stuff that's like gastro reflex, that's all here in the diaphragm and in the stomach. So what a cool thing is we are providing a awesome strain for that effect, for those effects. So for instance, we have OG Kush. It was first cultivated out in Florida, actually, in the early 1990s. Hey, Parkside CBD. Speaking of CBD, a strain so there was a strain originally crossed from NorCal here in California with Hindu Kush. So that's how we got some OG Kush. Then we had this planter from Amsterdam that brought in a beautiful, unique terpene profile that we know today for OG Kush, which provides beautiful notes of fuel, skunk, and spice. So one of the breeders, Bubba Kush, Matt Bubba Burger, he's the one who brought that strain back down to California. So effects, we have a relaxed, happy, euphoric, uplifted, sleepy. So like as I mentioned, if you're someone with insomnia, someone who has depression, pain, lack of appetite, this is that perfect strain because it hits all those components that are connected to our solar plexus energy. Because as I mentioned, solar plexus houses our power, our strength, our courage. So if we're really trying to get up to that next level with ourself, that confidence, think about the Leo lion within, be that lion, lioness, and have that power, that willpower. You know, yeah, life is tough, shit happens, but you know, we have to have that willpower to overcome and conquer, and that's the lion for you. So moving forward, one of my other favorite OGs I like to talk about, and one of my favorite growers, Hogsworth Company out of San Diego, bringing in some Lemon Larry OG, one of my favorites, toke on by them. So this beautiful cross was OG Kush crossed with SFV OG. Hey. So Larry OG is a very potent yet easy body high. Excuse me. It's also relaxing, but it allows you to get shit done. It's really what I like to call a nice good midday indica. It's an indica dominant hybrid, so you get that punch of sativa from the SFVOG, but you definitely feel that those nice indica effects. So the aroma, we're looking at clean and piney, lemony. So it's like an earthy lemon piney type of combination. It also provides a very relaxed, happy, euphoric, uplifted, focused. So if you're someone whose thoughts kind of get everywhere, brings you back, focused, centered on what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to work on some tasks, you got a day full of duties, you know, this might be a good strain to keep you on track. Some medical conditions it's also great for is depression, headaches, insomnia, and pain and stress. So as I mentioned before, working with our solar plexus energy, if we're in a state of fright, if we're in a state of fear, or just lack of confidence, unmotivated, unwillingness, that strength that's just like, oh, I don't have the energy to do it today. It's all about what you're toking on, you guys. It's all about what you're smoking, because we can easily be thinking, wow, this is a great strain, and then by using it so much, it could have adverse effects and not even work at all, or start operating in your body in a weird way with your chemistry. Everything's comes down to a chemistry. So this strain is also known as an easy strain that is pain and muscle, so it helps push away that pain and muscle tension. Getting all tongue twisted here. Sorry, you guys. I got sick earlier this week, so I'm working on trying to get over that. But anyways, thank you all for popping in. I will be posting this video. Hopefully I'll download and I can post on the YouTube channel. But if it doesn't happen, catch it now. But I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you all for hopping on, and we'll see you soon.